power of silent progress. Success doesn't always announce itself. It doesn't need a spotlight, applause, or constant updates. True growth, real, lasting growth, often happens in silence. Like a seed buried in the soil, your greatest achievements take shape beneath the surface, in quiet, unnoticed moments. But in today's world, we're trained to share everything. We announce plans before taking action. We seek approval before building results. And in doing so, many of us give away our momentum without even realizing it. When you talk too much about what you're going to do, your energy gets scattered. Every conversation, every social post is a small leak in the tire that was meant to carry you forward. And slowly, you lose the drive that was meant to fuel your progress. Why we overshare. We talk about our goals because we want to be seen. We want to feel supported, validated, encouraged. There's nothing wrong with that. It's human. But there's a hidden danger. When praise comes too early, it becomes a substitute for real achievement. You feel rewarded before you've done the work, and that illusion can kill your fire. Carl Jung said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." But how can you become anything real if your confidence depends on how others react? If your belief in yourself rises and falls based on someone else's comment? Sometimes, when you share an idea too soon, you rob it of its strength. One raised eyebrow, one "that sounds hard," can shake your vision. Not because people are cruel, but because they weren't meant to carry the weight of your dream. That dream was meant for you. Protecting the process. Plato once said, "Opinion is the medium between knowledge and ignorance." Yet we often treat other people's opinions as gospel. We let their doubts reshape our plans. We shift directions, not because we're wrong, but because we're afraid of judgment. But real progress is messy. Builders work behind walls for a reason. When you're laying a foundation, the work is dusty, uneven, frustrating. No one claps for unfinished beams or crooked lines. But without that stage, nothing solid can stand. That quiet, unglamorous phase is where greatness is built. If you keep interrupting that phase to explain yourself to the world, you're performing, not building. You're responding to pressure, not moving with purpose. Socrates warned, "Beware the barrenness of a busy life." That's the trap, being so caught up in performing progress that you forget to make real progress. When people ask, "What do you say when someone asks what you're working on?" The temptation is to list everything, the vision, the milestones, the goals. But not every question deserves an answer. Sometimes people ask so they can compare, not because they care. They measure you against themselves. Their curiosity isn't always innocent, and their feedback, even if well-meaning, can derail your process. You don't owe anyone your blueprint. You don't have to justify your silence. Real builders know it's not about being secretive, it's about protecting the fragility of early ideas. Jung believed our inner world is sacred. When we expose it too soon, we interrupt its unfolding. Your vision needs space to take root, to grow strong enough to stand. If you reveal it prematurely, you risk dimming the spark that made it special. The illusion of accountability. We're taught that speaking our goals out loud makes us more accountable, that if people know, we'll be more likely to follow through. But true accountability doesn't live in announcements, it lives in action. It lives in the moments no one sees, when you keep your word to yourself. If your motivation depends on an audience, you're not chasing a dream. You're performing for applause, and applause fades. Aristotle said, "We are what we repeatedly do." Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. So ask yourself, are you building habits or just building a highlight reel? What real work looks like. Real progress doesn't need an audience. It happens in early mornings and late nights. It happens in silence. No praise, no spotlight, just repetition, discipline, revision. That kind of work toughens you. It teaches you to rely on yourself. You stop needing claps. The work becomes its own reward. Jung called it the process of individuation, a journey inward. It's not a public performance. It's a personal transformation. And it's often invisible, misunderstood, and slow. But it's also real. Why silence builds speed. When you stop explaining every move, you gain speed. You don't pause to curate your process for others. You don't look for approval before acting. You stay focused. You become unstoppable. Not because you're fast, but because you're uninterrupted. Plato said, "The first and best victory is to conquer self." That victory doesn't happen in public. It's earned in silence, one step at a time. And if people misunderstand, let them. Their assumptions aren't your responsibility. Their curiosity doesn't entitle them to your plans. They don't carry your vision. They won't suffer your failures. So why let them judge your beginnings? When you finally arrive. When your work is done, really done, you won't need to explain it. You won't need a speech or a backstory. It will stand on its own. And the people who once doubted you, they won't even remember. They won't apologize. They won't say, "I was wrong." But they'll see the result. And that's all that matters. Those who truly believed in you, they never needed updates. They weren't watching your words. They were waiting for your work. Socrates said, "The way to gain a good reputation is to endeavor to be what you desire to appear." So stop announcing. Start becoming. Let your actions speak. Let silence carry your momentum until the work speaks for itself. Silence is power. When you don't share every step, the reveal hits harder. It lingers. It earns respect, not just attention. Not because it was hyped, but because it was whole. You didn't drop hints. You didn't chase praise. You just built. Quietly, steadily, purposefully. And when it was ready, you released it. Fully formed. No need for defense. No need for applause. Just truth. Undeniable truth. As Aristotle put it, character is revealed through action, not through words. And your character, calm, focused, grounded, shines through when the world realizes you were working all along. Execution over exposure. We live in a time where attention often goes to those who speak the loudest, not those who deliver the most. Everyone's announcing, everyone's in the process, but few are finishing. Talk is temporary, execution is lasting. Plato said, "Wise men speak because they have something to say, fools because they have to say something." In a world flooded with noise, those who speak less and do more are the ones who truly stand out. So ask yourself, do you want to be known for what you said you'd do, or for what you actually did? If no one were watching, no claps, no questions, no judgment, what could you build? Would you be more creative, more focused, more fearless? When you let go of the need to be seen, you gain the freedom to refine. You move from performance to purpose. You stop trying to look impressive. You start becoming powerful. In the end, silence is not emptiness. It's potential. It's wisdom. And when your work finally speaks, it echoes longer, hits harder, and leaves no doubt. Because you didn't tell them what you were going to do. You just did it.